Hi, my name is Andrea Capere, and you're watching Mission Nonprofit. Each month, we connect with local organizations and agencies that are making a positive impact in our communities. We've invited Robert Coit, Judy Jones, and Heather Sundin from Thurston County Food Bank to talk about their work. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So tell us about the food bank. What's the mission?
Mission's pretty simply stated to end hunger in our community, but over the years we've redefined what hunger is, and we've redefined our communities. So currently our service area actually includes Lewis and Mason counties.
Okay. And tell us about the history.
So started in 1972, so about 48 years to date. And its original name was Neighbors in Need, Thurston County Chapter. So if you do a little time travel, that was the era when the Boeing crisis hit the Seattle, King County area. And there were billboards that said, will the last person leaving Seattle please turn out the lights? So a lot of nonprofits in our state were founded and started in a response to that initial need to support working families. And it affected state government too as tax revenues declined, and that's when we were started.
So tell us about food security and hunger in our community. What's it look like?
So food security in general means people not just that are hungry, but people that are at risk for not having a meal, being stressed out over where the next meal's coming from. So it includes behavior, psychosocial impacts. If you can imagine a child going to school on Monday being hungry and what their behavior might be like in the classroom versus a child arriving to school ready to learn on a Monday. So it kind of captures that. About 1 in 5 children in the state, and that's true in this county as well, are hungry. Unfortunately, that really hasn't moved much over the years. A lot of children really rely on the free and reduced school lunch program, but there's winter break, spring break, summer, and all the rest. As far as adults go, head of households, we pretty much are serving about 22% of the county's population. So
That's huge.
Yeah, last year just about 57,000 individuals, 15,000 households. I would share that we don't just serve low-income households, we also serve moderate-income households. It's just that some of the federal programs we run may not be available to them. But, you know, if you can imagine, there's times of the year when it's harder to meet your household budget, and so food becomes a cash equivalent. So use a trip to the food bank to pay the rent, use a trip to the food bank to fix your car, or whatever the need is in your household budget. So that's one way that hunger essentially has been redefined, because it's really about a family managing their household budget. It's not just the physical effects of hunger over time or its negative impacts like malnutrition, diabetes, etc.
Do you have some challenges reaching those other target groups that we don't think of as a society as needing a food bank, like those middle-income families? And what do you do to get them in the door?
So I think that is one of the challenges, are essentially access barriers, and there's a host of them. Sometimes language is an access barrier. Sometimes preconceived notions or perceptions about what a food bank is or isn't, whether there's income criteria or lots of rules. So it really is about raising awareness in the community and encouraging people to use our services, because essentially that's why we exist. And you really don't take food away from someone else. Essentially, we live in a world of abundance. We have plenty of food and can get more. So it's really important for us to have as many people that need the resource use it. Most of moderate income households, will see more of them in the summer months when school is out, or frankly in the winter months between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And they have a lot of competing costs to juggle. Maybe the holiday expenses related to packaged gifts. Heat is a big issue. A lot of people don't use the monthly budget and pay as they go. So we use the frame or the term heat or eat. And then medical expenses can, strangely enough, be a big contributor to the challenge. So awareness, getting the word out is probably the biggest one. For moderate income households, it's just not realizing we're a resource for them. And typically use us once or twice and then you're back on your feet. Maybe be 2 years before we see you again. That's okay.
And you're serving a huge portion of the county and surrounding counties. So how are you building capacity? How are you, I know that you're building new facilities and new distribution centers, and I'm hoping you can talk about that.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. Once we identified sort of the shift in the population that we were serving, we were able to identify that almost 25% of the folks who were coming downtown, which is our largest distribution center, identified as living in Lacey. So our focus then became developing services in Lacey, recognizing that that's a barrier. That's a long way to come for people who are struggling to make ends meet to get to our downtown facility. And I'll never forget when Robert and I went out and looked at this sort of scary piece of property out in Lacey. It is going to be amazing, but it's out at, the address is 7027 Martin Way East. It's across the street from the Fran's Bakery outlet. So in the urban growth area of Lacey, it's about a 1.3 acre property, and really from the moment we started walking the property, I knew it was going to be it. And Robert had the full vision of what he was seeing. I just knew it was the right place. It's all about location. When we went back and kind of placed it on the map, did some concentric circles, and looked at the schools in North Thurston School District that were within 1 mile, 2 miles, and 3 miles, we had some of the neediest schools and families in that area. So without even doing that ahead of time, we realized we had really found the right place. So it's a narrow property and very long. The back of the property is a garden. It's run by Grub. We lease it out to Grub, and it's their Victory Garden, which is about, it's for veterans who do therapeutic work. Yes, some of the food that they grow may end up at the farm stand that we're building, but it's really not about that. It's really about helping individuals and families reconnect with their community and really find a place and a purpose and some healing and growth. So that is open and operational. We're still working on a little bit of the infrastructure, but that is open and they are planting.
What's that address again?
7027 Martin Way East. So that's the back of the property. Front of the property is a farm stand. We're pouring the foundation as we speak. So that's the next piece. It will open end of June, and that will be open once a week for produce. As Robert said, we live in a world of abundance. 40% of the waste across the country, 25% of the food in this county that's produced and available and edible goes to waste. We are trying to redirect that food from landfill to table, and it is nutritious, delicious, healthy food, and it's just rerouting it. So Farm Stand will take some of that load, and we're pretty excited about being able to open that up. It's no charge. It's come and fill a bag, or we'll figure out what that's going to look like. But it really is going to be available to everyone in the area, in the community. And then the center building, which is still in process and will take probably a year and a half before that's finished, is going to be a pantry. So it's Lacey's Food Pantry. And it will be much like our distribution center downtown, just a little smaller, but will be open twice a week to meet the needs of Lacey and beyond. So that really has us open Monday, Wednesday, Friday downtown, Tuesday, Thursday in Lacey for pantry food, and Saturday for the farm stand. When you add in all of our other satellite food banks, we're open almost every day of the month for service. So that's part of how we're expanding our reach and our services to meet the need. I think another piece is something that Heather could probably talk about. It's our warehouse, which has really changed the way we do business.
So our Tumwater Warehouse and Distribution Center is on Montman Road, right by South Puget Sound Community College. And we split the organization off into that facility about 4 years ago now. And about 4 years ago, we were really at and above capacity in our downtown client services center. So Robert and our board had begun planning a capital campaign to look for a new warehouse several years in advance of that. And we had the good fortune to find something that was a great fit right there in Tumwater. So we split the organization's operations with the goal of keeping our downtown client services center as the place where families could come and receive services, and move our distribution work to a separate facility. The food bank has, for about 15 years now, had what we call our satellite program, and it has a network of 18 outside locations that are kind of smaller microcosms, if you will, of our downtown client services center. And they're open at different times and provide different specialized services to eliminate access barriers to receiving food at the food bank. So we picked up that satellite program and dropped it at our Tumwater warehouse, as well as our 4Kids backpack program that serves 33 elementary schools. And in combination between those two programs, our mobile program and our partner program, we serve over 70 organizations out of our Tumwater facility every month.
That's amazing. And you mentioned some programs, so I would love to hear more about the types of programs that you offer and some of the organizations that you're partnering with to continue to serve.
So I'll start with some of the programs that I like and enjoy and that not everyone maybe is aware of. So we operate 2 federal programs that are not directly food related, but indirectly food related, so it helps the household. So what most people don't realize is that we can help people sign up for the basic food program, what is nationally known as the SNAP program and what used to be called food stamps. So we actually do that work on site. And if you're not able to get to a CSO office at DSHS, there can be a phone interview to verify the data we collected, but it's all done electronically via email. So I have staff that are trained to do that via the Washington State Connections portal. And we also do nutrition education. So another federal contract, and in that case we do work in schools where we actually have a nutrition educator in elementary classrooms helping lift up the importance of healthy eating, essentially to encourage consumption of nutrient-dense foods, produce, protein, drink more water, legumes are a top item right now. But we also do that work in the food bank and food pantries that we partner with. So a lot of what that looks like is a cooking demonstration, not so much teaching someone to cook, but taking away one of the biggest challenges for a household. We use the choice model, so you choose what food you take home. So you might be hesitant at choosing some types of squash because you're not familiar with them. It's not that you don't know how to cook them, it's more that maybe you don't know if your kids will eat them or not. So by having demonstrations to teach some basic skills, but giving you a chance to taste, that really makes a big difference. My favorite recipe, and it's Judy's as well, is a macaroni and cheese recipe that's been tweaked, eliminates all the margarine and butter, and half the cheese, and replaces it with sweet potatoes.
Oh, okay.
And Mikey, Judy, thinks it's the best thing ever. And parents basically said, this is so good, I know my kids will eat it. But it just ups the nutritional value of that meal. So that's another way the nutrition education program reaches households.
I mean, truly, I'm a little skeptical, but if you're telling me how good this is, I might have to go home and try it.
I really have to tell you, it was so rich and thick. It was magical. So I was sold, and really, as Robert was saying, we've actually, on Baby Day, that's one of the programs and the days of service that I like, and it's once a month, and it's tailored to families with children under the age of 5 so that they don't have to wait on a regular day, maybe in long lines with a stroller and small children in tow. We offer some non-food items as well. But during that, we try to do kid-friendly samplings of food. And I do remember one of the moms looking down at her daughter going, I can't believe she's eating that. And she was eating the sweet potato macaroni and cheese. The mom said she doesn't eat vegetables. And there she was gobbling up the macaroni and cheese. So, not only do I think it's the best, children are voting as well with their forks. But really very tasty. My second favorite recipe is the black bean brownies.
I've actually tried that. It is pretty good.
They are very
Yeah.
good, and no one ever guesses what that secret ingredient is. So talk about healthy.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite program, Heather, that you want to talk about?
I am a big fan of our gleaning program.
Oh, okay.
Our gleaning program recruits volunteers and partners with local farms to take volunteer groups out into the fields and harvest surplus produce that the farmer has a little bit extra of. And we partner with 3 to 4 farms in Thurston County that have been wonderful supporters of the program for about 10 years now. And they have wonderful extra crops every season, like beautiful cabbages, peas, corn, tomatoes, you name it. Any local crop that you can find at the farmer's market, you can find at the food bank during the growing season, thanks to our gleaning program.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot to celebrate and a lot to share, and I'm hoping that you can share with us some success stories that have come forth as a result of your work.
So we did, we're in a capital campaign right now. We had a breakfast last year, and we'll do another one this year. And we had one of our board members secure a speaker, and we are all about being a champion of success stories. We really want to find people who can share the message of where they have gotten to, where they have arrived in their lives, and the support that maybe they received during their lifetime, and maybe how we or a food bank has influenced their lives. And the Lacey Project is a compassionate community project, which is a Lacey City, North Thurston School District, and South Sound Chamber project and concept. And out of that came a teacher from the school district, the North Thurston Public Schools, who said, I am a product, I am a success of what you are doing in your community today. I was one of those families that needed your help. I was in despair. It was a tough time. I was going to school and had small children, and we were not sure how this was going to work. And because of that support, we were able to thrive and remain stable. And I got my degree, I became a teacher, and I am here because of the investment that you put in services like this and support of folks like me. It was really, I don't think there was a dry eye in the place. And even the school district had no idea that they had someone who could be a champion of a story like that. So it really was quite moving.
So one of mine is also sort of about a program that I love dearly, but it's about this big. It's really small. And it kind of relates to older adults. It relates to volunteerism. It relates to feeling like you're part of the community and you still have something to give. So it's what we call the birthday bag project. And we always had a piece of that where a cake from a grocery store's bakery was hidden in back, and maybe we had some candles or something. But it really wasn't organized. It really wasn't well thought out. Really wasn't a service. It was just something we did. So I prefer to offer a service, not just do things. So I had to reach out and think about what I wanted to do and which volunteers were best suited to get us there. So I reached out to educators, retired teachers, and they embraced it wholeheartedly. And they run the program, secure most of the funds. And what it's evolved into is cake mixes and frosting
Yeah.
and party favors and themed napkins and paper plates and a small gift for the child whose birthday you're celebrating. But school supplies, what a
Yeah.
big surprise. So crayons and pencils and glue sticks. And then little things that you can pull together to throw a birthday party for your child to celebrate that event, which is what the child then hangs on to. It builds a family, it builds a community. So those volunteers turn this thing we did into something special. And then we have a community member that works for a taxing authority, Intercity Transit, and she at work does a drive pretty much every month to get cake mixes and frosting. And I love her quote, and her quote is basically, I can't change the world, but I can make sure a child has a birthday cake on her birthday.
Yeah.
And that has become sort of the motto for that program.
I don't think you can call that a small story. That's a meaningful story.
It's powerful.
Yeah. So how can the community help?
I think we've got lots of volunteer opportunities. I think we do a really good job at being flexible for folks, for making it work. We offer 2 volunteer coordinators, 2 points of access, either through the warehouse or our downtown location. That's usually your first point of contact with us. You go to a volunteer orientation. You learn about everything we do, because there's so much we do in our buildings and beyond. When I think about the gleaning program, I think about how fun it is to go out and glean the product. So I have, great stories about gleaning bodacious corn, which I had no idea. I mean, I thought somebody was just saying it was really fancy or pretty, but there's actually a brand of corn called bodacious. I learned all of this gleaning as I gleaned 1,000 pounds of corn in one afternoon. So it's delightful, but really easy ways in, and lots of opportunities, just so many opportunities for people of all ages, all skill levels. I remember when I started at the food bank and I was learning the ropes downtown, and I looked at Robert and I said, gosh, I feel like I just mastered this in about 2 minutes. He goes, yep. And I go, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you really can become a master quickly in almost any area in our buildings. And we are a volunteer-run organization, which means we empower volunteers who outnumber us hundreds to one to walk beside us and do the work with us. We really are going to try to tap into whatever skills you bring to the organization in whatever way you want to use them.
And of course, you're accepting donations, I'm guessing. So what's that website?
It's the thurstoncountyfoodbank.org.
Okay. And so with just a few minutes left, can you share with us any additional plans or exciting news?
So we're in transition currently. So the YWCA is transitioning their other bank from their organization to our organization. So later this year, we'll start offering toiletries and personal hygiene items at our downtown facility. Over time, we'll scale that up to do it more times a month in multiple locations, but initially it'll be relatively small. But I think it's a good fit, more one-stop shop, an opportunity for people to pick up both things. Some people may come for hygiene products and take home some food. Some people may come for food and take home hygiene items. It just makes good sense. So we're really excited to partner with the Y and help make that transition happen smoothly, and excited to do a new service.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight and sharing your work with us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
That's all we have for you. You can see Mission Nonprofit on Channel 77 on Sundays at 4:30 p.m., Tuesdays at 7 p.m., Thursdays at 7:30 p.m., and Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. You can also catch us online at tcmedia.org. See you next time.